I feel like with your experience, like it's not like any just typical move to Long Island experience. I feel like the market has been very challenging. It's still challenging for home buyers because we're still in a seller's market. There's low inventory.
Yeah.
There's high demand. And the absorption rate is low. Absorption rate is basically like how many months does it take to swallow up this inventory that's on the market now?
Yeah.
Like how quickly or slowly will all of these active properties on the market right now sell if no other properties came on the market, right?
Right.
So that's remained like relatively low.
Wow.
So a seller's market is usually when the absorption rate is below like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
A balanced market is usually anywhere between like 4 to 6 or 4 to 7 months of inventory. And then a buyer's market is like usually upwards of 6-7 months, right? Like that means that there's so much inventory, it's going to take forever for it to sell. It'll take more than 6 months. And that's a buyer's market. We've been like pretty steadily below like that 4 or 5 month mark for a long time.
So my question to you becomes, I have a question about that. So you're talking about the time frame it takes to purchase a home within each market, right?
No, I'm talking about the time that it'll take for all of the buyer demand
Right.
to purchase the properties that are on the market.
In those individual markets.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
A buyer's market, the seller's market. Have you ever seen a time? So I don't know. So this is why I'm asking. Have you ever seen a time? What's the longest time frame you've seen a market stay steady? Like, for example, you just mentioned we're still in a seller's market. We was in a seller's market 5 years ago when I purchased a home. How much longer do you think this would take? Or what's the average amount of time it takes for one market to replace the other?
Like for it to like flow back
So
to
flow
like a
back
balanced
into the
market.
to the buyer's
That's a
market.
good question because I think New York is not like, to be very clear, in some markets right now throughout the country, we're in a buyer's market. So there's like a ton
Generally
of inventory. Yeah, like
Okay.
I'll give you an example. I was talking to a broker in Phoenix recently,
Okay.
and he's like, "There's a lot of inventory here. There's a lot of new construction, new development,
Right.
and they overbuilt." Right.
Okay.
And I don't think it was just Phoenix. I think it was like Phoenix and Tucson or Phoenix and Scottsdale, but it was more than one city in Arizona.
Okay.
And basically, like they built a lot to the point where like they overbuilt, they built past like demand, and now the builders are offering tons of incentives. So like we just talked about the benefits for veterans, right?
Yeah.
Picture benefits being available to just any home buyer. Like take this house off of my hands.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So that's like cash credits at closing. Like, hey, you buy this house, you'll get whatever, 50 grand or something after closing or whatever the case is.
Super incentivized.
Yeah, so there's some markets where it's like that. There are other markets in the country where it's a balanced market. It's like a normal market. I've been in New York real estate for like about 10 years now.
Right.
No, I got licensed 2017. We're in 2026. So,
9 years.
about 9 years,
Yeah.
going on 10 years. And I still have yet to see an extreme buyer's market,
Wow.
right? However, right now, there are certain property types that are buyer's markets, right?
Okay.
I'm not too involved in commercial. We do a little bit of commercial, but in commercial real estate, depending on what type of building
Right.
or
That's on the
property,
rise.
depending on what county, this is a buyer's market for commercial.
Okay.
Also, for co-ops, there's a lot of inventory for co-ops compared to condos,
Got it.
right?
got
So
it.
co-ops in a lot of places are technically in a buyer's market, right?
Okay.
The one thing with co-ops that kind of keeps it a little bit more balanced is the fact that co-ops require board approval. So
Okay.
if AC Shots is selling a co-op for $500,000 and it's been on the market forever, and you're like, you know what, I'll take this off your hand for $400,000. That's a 20% like discount you were
Right.
able to negotiate. However, the board still has to approve it. So
Right.
if the board says no, we're not allowing a sale for this low
It's
of
tougher
an amount.
in that case.
Yeah, so it can be tougher.
Okay.
Now, if we're looking at like condos, single family, and small multifamily, 2 to 4 family buildings, we're still in the seller's market. We've been in the seller's market for the majority of the time. And to answer your question, I would think that these markets would fluctuate every like 6 to 9 months, maybe, or every 6 to 12 months. We just haven't seen it.
Yeah. This This is the post-pandemic, I guess.
Yeah, this is the
Effect,
world.
right?
This is the world.
This is the world after, right? Yes.
And speaking of that, speaking of the pandemic, you bought a property that is not a traditional single family.
Right.
You bought a property during a high demand market,
Which was
during
very
COVID,
strange to do at
right?
that time. Yeah.
And then you're doing it with a VA loan.
Yeah.
What were like some of the challenges that you noticed, or were there challenges that are like different, you know, for any other home buyers?
Well, the one challenge was just buying the home in itself. Like we went back to so this is what happened with us, right? We saw about 10 houses on average. I think it was about almost 10 houses, if I'm not mistaken. It got to a point where we was just like looking at houses and was like, yo, just put it in a bid, like, and then just keep it moving. We couldn't even like fall in love with the house because we had already done that with like 3 other houses, and somebody had came in and said, nope, it's a done deal. So we ended up in Massapequa by mistake, like I mentioned, right? So at that point, I went to the house. My wife went. We were there. We're looking at the house. Like, okay, you know, you're looking at the house now to see if it has potential, because you go in with your state of mind of changing a few things. It was like, okay, it has potential. But the plus with the house that we actually got was that the lady that was selling the house was actually her mom's, and her mom was a veteran. So me being a veteran and me being introduced to her, as soon as we stepped out, we said, okay, guys.